He's minority owner of the Commanders, and he's the chairman of the Muvadala City DC Open. It's our pal Mark Ein. What's going on, Mark?
Hey, guys. Great to be with you this morning.
Dude, your field just keeps getting better here for the DC Open coming up here in late July. Tell us about all the top players. I think you got 7 top 10 players, but if you expand it to like the world's top 14, you just had a slew of them.
Yeah, it's unreal. We're so thrilled about this. As you said, we got 7 of the world's top 10. We have the top 9 American men. And then that doesn't even include like Grand Slam champions like Naomi Osaka and Emma Raducanu who are coming, and then people like Nick Kyrgios and Gael Monfils and Kei Nishikori. So, like the players that everyone loves to come out and see. Yeah,
I thought
unreal.
Kyrgios was done. I'm just way behind the curve.
I literally was messaging him yesterday about coming to DC. He loves this tournament. I mean, he played a bit earlier this year. I saw him play in Indian Wells. He was great. He just keeps getting injured. He's got a lot of things that, he's interested in. He's actually building his life outside of tennis. But when he's on the court, he's still unbelievable. And, he's won our tournament twice. So so it's a place that he just loves to come to, and he's fully planning to be here.
What's the payout for the winner of the men's side?
$550,000, I think.
Okay,
not bad.
It's good money.
Yeah,
and what about money? And it's a lot of ranking points. This tournament on both sides, like there's a long history of players who come here, and it kind of like Medvedev in 19 made a finals. Like no one even had heard of him when he finaled and lost to Nick in 19, and he went on to final the U.S. Open that year and ultimately became number 1 in the world. Paula Badosa last year, we gave her a wild card. She was like 70 in the world, and then she's now back up in the top 10. So it's a lot of points, it's a lot of money, and it's a good springboard for people.
Has Djokovic ever played in it?
It's funny. I see him around. I don't know that he is. Roger actually did once when he was really young, and obviously Rafa came. I don't know. Novak, every time I see him, he says, I'm going to come to Washington one of these days. It'd be great if we could make that happen.
I have to tell you, Mark, that I think most of us here on this show, we all kind of grew up playing tennis. And, I know I've told you before that some of us, I know Cakes and I, we were like ball boys. I don't even know if you were. You probably did that at one point.
I was.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. It was such a great, I have just such fond memories of tennis, professional tennis here in D.C. And just like,
Didn't you get yelled at by some player?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Michael Pernfors sent me up.
I did.
Who'd you get yelled at by, Mark?
Oh, I think John McEnroe wasn't paying attention. I'd give him the ball quick enough or something like that.
There's always something. I remember Michael Pernfors sent me on a Perrier run.
Michael Pernfors.
Like in the middle of his match.
Pernfors. Was he German?
I don't know. He was something.
No, he was Swedish.
Swedish.
Okay. He went to Georgia.
Yeah, that's right.
I remember I ball-boyed for Slobodan Zivanivic.
I definitely remember him.
Jay Berger. I mean, I just have such
but
fond
wasn't
memories.
Like Harold Solomon and Eddie Dibbs were our heroes. It was like and then Connors and Vilas, and it's amazing. Yeah, I remember it was on clay, and literally like the stands were just bleachers. And, I mean, honestly, that's my life experience too, and that's where my passion for this comes. Is like we had those memories. The tournament was going to likely leave DC when we stepped in 19. Like the organization that owned it forever couldn't make the investments that were needed. And it wasn't the easiest thing to get done, but I was like, there's no way if there's any way I can stop this from leaving, that it can leave, because there's so many people like us who this is such an important part of their lives, and I want it to be here forever. So
Mark's the chairman of the Muvadala City DC Open. You told us this last time, beyond the great tennis, and you've got 7 top 10 stars competing. It's July 19th through 27th. You guys have great food set up, right?
Well, that was a big part of what we wanted to do when we took it over. So we took it over. It's a big, important tennis event, but the fan experience just really wasn't good. Literally, the people that served the park service food the rest of the year were serving the food. There was nowhere indoor or air conditioned to go if you weren't a VIP. And so we had this real vision that came a little bit from our World Team Tennis days of creating this incredible fan experience. And so, we've built these unbelievable big indoor air conditioned food hall with a big bar and big TV screens. We have a taco tequila bar, a rosé terrace overlooking the courts. And then we have like the best of DC. We have Duke's Grocery, burgers. We have Dolcezza. We have King Street oysters. So it's like the best of DC food. Last year, I think we had 5 Michelin star chefs. This year we have 7, so also at the high end. And so the whole idea behind that is that, you know, a day at a tennis match isn't just going to 1-2 hour match. If it's good food, good drinks, good places to hang out, people will come for 5, 6, 7 hours, and then they'll stay, and then they'll come back a bunch during the week. So when we took this over, less than 20% of the tickets were season tickets, you know, people who bought full tournament, and then people just come for one day. Now it's over 70% people are buying tickets for the whole week.
Wow.
And I think a lot of it is due to, it's obviously the quality of the play is incredible, but also the quality of the experience off the court.
I do, again, I just have such fond memories, even, you know, in adulthood, just going there and just watching guys hit on the practice courts.
Like, exactly.
And then watching the women. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's just, I can't recommend it enough.
I appreciate saying that. You know, it's one of only 10 tournaments in the world that have men and women playing at the same event. It's like, it's hard to believe because people watch the Grand Slams, which are
right.
But there's 4 Grand Slams, 5 other tournaments, and us. And
what do you have, like Indian Wells? Did they still have Lipton? Like those were ones that used to be.
Yeah,
both,
what
right?
are
Indian Wells, Miami, Cincinnati, Madrid, and Rome, and then us.
Wow,
it's very cool.
That is crazy.
Very cool.
So going to transition here. You know, you talked about how you've changed the experience for the DC Open and making it beyond just the tennis. That people are excited about the food. I think that's your vision with RFK. Can you kind of fill us in on what's happening? I know the Commanders released a statement. We talked about it. I get it. There's a government process, but you can at least talk about what you see for RFK in the community.
Yeah, look, I think the team's made an amazing case for why this makes a ton of sense. You know, you can look at it from so many different dimensions, but like, first of all, in DC, there have been 3 stadiums built, and every single one has transformed the area it was in. When I moved back to DC in the 90s, I lived down the street from where Cap One Arena was. That literally a block away was a red light district. You know, the East End was forgotten. No one came over. You build Cap One, that part of town's completely transformed. Then you do the baseball stadium. You go drive down there. It's actually incredible. I don't ever go down there, and it blows my mind how an old industrial area is now literally just building after building after building. And then you go to the soccer stadium, where I actually own the land under the soccer stadium. It was a junkyard and an old warehouse. And there was a coal-fired Pepco power plant there that was never going to move until the land was needed. You build a soccer stadium, it gets transformed. So, like, we have these case studies of what happens. And then you have 180 acres on that part of town where it hasn't gotten the same investment. And here's the perfect catalyst to do exactly the same thing, but actually even bigger. So that's one lens. And then the other thing I'd say is, you know, I've lived the journey here. I was on the board to bring the Olympics here. I was co-chair of the group to try to bring the 2026 World Cup to DC. And that was so frustrating because FIFA badly wanted to have games in DC next year. It's very unusual for a capital city not to get games, but we didn't have a stadium. They made us bid for the World Cup with the Baltimore Stadium. And what people may forget is that the National Fan Festival for the World Cup was going to be on the National Mall. We were going to have 3 of the biggest teams staying in DC. All that's gone. And yeah, that's nice because you get to go to games, but the economic impact of stuff like that is so massive, you know? And then you listen at the press conference, Roger talked about that, you know, he had no promises, but certainly you're going to be considered for Super Bowls. The economic impact in New Orleans was $1.2 billion for the Super Bowl. So, like, these things are economic drivers.
Is there a hard deadline, Mark? Because, you know, it's kind of hard for us to, like, figure it all out. We hear the Mendelsohn say something. We hear you guys say something. Is there a deadline for you guys to be able to make, you know, 2030, which I guess was the goal all along?
Yeah, I mean, you know, just back to events, obviously the 2031 Women's World Cup's here, so I think everyone wants to make it happen. Look, I don't want to get into that stuff. I do legitimately believe everyone is working towards getting this done and getting it done so it can open in 2030, and that's what we're certainly hoping is going to happen.
So you're not at this point, you're not sweating it.
I honestly think that the right thing's going to happen. I think it's pretty clear. And I also think if you listen to people aren't saying they're against it. They just want to make sure that we run a good process. I really believe it's going to happen.
Right. Which makes sense.
So the DC Open, back to the DC Open, it's July 19th through the 27th.
Mm-hmm.
You can get ticket packages. You can go to SeatGeek.com or you can go to tickets at MDEtennis.com or MubadalaCityOpen.com. There's a bunch of ways to get it.
What about for the junks? How do the junks get tickets?
They just call their buddy Mark.
Yeah. And they're waiting at will call. They're a will call.
That's what I'm talking about.
We honestly, we'd love to. Like, I will say, and I don't come on and like try to, talk about tickets, but we are almost every ticket we've sold out in the last 4.5 years, and we're down to like less than 10% of the tickets. It'll probably sell out in a week or two. And so I definitely hope people come out. I love the fact that our tennis community comes out, but also when people come who haven't seen tennis live and they see it up close, and as you said, like even just going to the practice court and seeing it that close, you really get an appreciation for it. So whether you like tennis, great food, great drinks,
all
a good time in the
just
summer.
Go watch the women hit.
Yeah,
it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing.
Watch my girl Rabakina hit. She's unbelievable.
She's coming.
Yeah. I know she is.
She's coming.
She's great.
Yeah.
All right, Mark. Always fun talking to you.
Thank you, Mark.
Appreciate it.
All right, buddy.
It's Mark Ein, Commanders minority owner and chairman of the Mubadala
buddies with
DC Open.
Big Sillies. We're just buddies with Big Sillies.
All right, we got to get out of here. Everybody have a great weekend. For Bish, EBMJP, B. Mitch and Finley coming up next here on The Fan.